Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tyler Show. We got a lot of sports to talk today. We're talking Cowboys. We're talking the fallout of Week 18 in the NFL. It's a crazy week. Everything happened. I mean, a lot of teams out, a lot of teams in. Surprise teams that we didn't think. It's crazy stuff. We also have Black Monday that happened. Coaches are out. It's a war zone. It's a war zone out there. We're talking a bit of the Natty. Michigan destroyed Washington. And to round it all out, we're going to be making our picks, a bracket challenge to see who's going to go to the Super Bowl. But to talk all of this, I have the one and only legendary Matthew Brice. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing so good. I'm doing so good. It's crazy to think, right, that from the Bills loss, right? Mm-hmm. Cowboys Bills loss. I think we thought the season was just a little bit over.
It was looking real suspect.
It was not looking good.
And the thing is that there are some things that showed up in that game that can be exposed, particularly in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Number one thing one of the top things when you're playing playoff football, you have to be able to stop the run.
Yep.
And you have to be able to run the ball. I don't care how much this league changes. If you cannot do those two things, you will not be successful in the playoffs.
Right. And I agree. I agree with that. And yet somehow, we're the number 2 seed in the NFC, maybe have the easiest route to at least the NFC Championship that we've had. And we have a real chance here. But I mean, just to start it off, I think it's be good to do a Cowboys gut check. How are we feeling going into the playoffs? Was that win enough?
You have to go into it like you do every year.
Right.
And I say this as a proud Cowboy fan since 1988. Mm-hmm. You hope for the best, but you expect the worst.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. They haven't won a championship since 95, 96. Mm-hmm. Hurts to say that, don't it? But it's the truth, right? So, yeah, you have to hope for the best, but you got to expect the worst. Mm-hmm. They clearly have the talent at key positions to get it done.
Yeah.
But I'm still a little worried about the run defense, and I'm concerned about the offensive line consistently.
Right.
Because what's going to happen is I got them getting past Green Bay, but I got them seeing Detroit again.
Okay.
Now, Aiden Hutchinson, them guys on that D-line, that front seven for Detroit, they're pretty good.
They are.
Detroit also has a top 2 offensive line. They're 1A and 1B with another team in AFC that we're going to get to.
Yeah, we are. Look at you doing these little promos and stuff.
Hey, man, I'm just talking ball.
Hey,
I
this
didn't
is
know
a
it was a
content
promo.
king.
Nah, see, you giving me too much credit, man. I just love the game. I love football. I love sports in general. I'm a student of the game. That's it. I ain't no expert. I ain't no king or none of that. Let's stay humble real quick.
Hey, no. You give yourself the credit. You the king. You are the king.
Nah, I can't say that. I'm not gonna do that.
But somebody else has been playing like the king recently. That's Dak Prescott. He's been playing very well recently, especially in this game. He's 31 of 36, 279 yards, got 4 touchdowns, 1 pick that honestly wasn't even his fault. I mean, I think that was as good of any of the game he's had.
Well, of course, some people are going to say, or a lot of people may say, well, Tyler, it was Washington.
Right.
But we also know that weird things tend to happen to Dallas when they go to Washington.
Yeah, they do.
Especially in week 17, week 18 games.
Yep.
Happened last year when they went up there and got smoked.
They got whooped.
Yeah, so you got to give them that. And they're going into the playoffs with a little bit of a rhythm.
Right.
He played well against Detroit also. Even with Detroit, the Detroit front seven whooped Dallas's offensive line all night, and he was still able to make plays.
Yeah.
He played well against Miami too, even though they were on the losing end of that. He, for the most part, he played well. He put them in a position to win. Miami, with all those weapons, just the last 3 minutes, they made the game-winning drive, and they won it in the end, and you couldn't do nothing about that.
I mean, I think you also have to remember, when he got hurt before that, Jeff Wilson Jr., he was playing out of his mind last year. He's playing very well. He had big expectations coming into the season, and he got hurt, and everybody forgot about him because, you have Mostert, you have Ashan, these guys that are playing really well. And, he comes into the game and people are saying, wait, who is this guy? I forgot about him. And all of a sudden he's, run down the field and, sealed the game for Miami.
Miami is San Francisco on the East Coast, on the Southeast Coast. That's what Miami is. They just do it with more speed. Now, San Francisco does have some speed.
Yeah.
But Miami has more speed. You talking about Devon A-Chain, former ankle leg for the Fort Bend Marshall Buffaloes down there in Missouri City outside of Houston. Give them a shout out for that. This is Texas. We in Texas. We got to do that.
Yeah, you do.
We got to do that. So, yeah, you got Devon A-Chain. You got Raheem Mostert. You still got Tyreek Hill on the outside. And here's where it gets scary. When's the last time Jalen Waddle suited up?
It's been a little bit.
He played against Dallas.
He played against Dallas, and I think he got hurt. And I don't think he's played since.
Yeah, but they still got other weapons like Cedric Wilson. It's Cowboy.
He was really good, and I was sad to lose him.
That hurt.
It hurt, didn't it? We've lost all these really good receivers. I mean, Noah Brown, I liked him a lot. And where is he? He's on the Browns now too, right?
Nah, Noah Brown in Houston.
Right. Yes, and he was balling.
Yeah, he went down there with Dalton Schultz.
And Dalton Schultz is balling as well.
Yeah, they doing all right. They doing all right down there. C.J. Stroud, in my honest opinion, would have been the MVP if he didn't get hurt.
I agree.
I'm putting it out there. With all due respect to Lamar Jackson.
Dak's also in the conversation.
Dak's in the conversation, and Tyreek Hill should be in the conversation as well.
He should. He's not going to win it because it's a quarterback award, even though that's not necessarily the right thing. It should be the most valuable player, not the most valuable quarterback. But, he should be in the conversation. I don't think he's going to win it, though. What
about Christian McCaffrey?
I mean, you see how the team plays when he's on and on the field. I mean, you remember in that stretch when they lost like 3 games in a row, wasn't he hurt? Didn't he get hurt for a little bit?
I want to say he was there, but it was Debo that was missing. It was Debo Samuel and Trent Williams.
Right.
Which when you have a left tackle of Trent Williams' caliber, that can be considered the heart and soul, of your offense.
Yep.
Because that provides a sense of security for your starting quarterback that he may not have with the other guys. In a prime example, look at how Dak is sometimes when Tyron Smith is not in there. You got Chumi Doga in there, and
who's his face?
I mean, it's like a human turnstile over there.
Know.
You got guys that's just coming in and out. Like, yeah, he ain't got a shot out there. So I want to say McCaffrey played, but it may have been Debo. Debo Samuel was out with Trent Williams. So, but still, McCaffrey does everything in that offense
for sure.
Great receiver, run between the tackles, run outside of the tackles, do everything.
If he played all the games, or at least played for the full game in every game, he would have at least an offensive player of the year consideration. I don't know that he's in that conversation right now. CD should be in that conversation. I think Tyreek should probably win the award.
He would have. I feel like Tyreek would have and could have won MVP as well as Offensive Player of the Year.
Right.
Because I feel like he was on his way to 2,000 yards easily.
Yeah.
Nobody's done it.
Nope.
Nobody's done it. And remember, he's still sharing touches with Jalen Waddle.
Yep.
You got Cedric Wilson. We talked about Jeff Wilson Jr.
Right.
We talked about Raheem Mostert, Devon A-Chain, averaging
Right.
7.8 yards a carry for the entire year.
And I mean, I don't know if you remember, but last year Miami was awful in the run. They could not run the ball to save their life, and now they have that 3-back monster back there. I mean, what a turnaround!
I think they've improved because they decided to run more. I think that's part of it. But they were also airing it out a lot last year. But I mean, when you got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle out there, why not? And you had Gesicki. Gesicki was down there before he took out to New England doing that weird gritty.
God, that was not the gritty. That was that was something else. That was he was picking up the keys or something like that to get out the door or something.
Y'all got to start NFL. Y'all got to start finding Mike Gesicki for doing that gritty, man.
That is actually a detriment to the league.
$10,000 fine and a 2-game suspension because it's raggedy. Y'all got to cut that out, man.
Our producer is off camera right now trying to do it, and honestly, he may have been doing it a little better. Not gonna lie, he may have been doing it better. I mean, it was that bad. But you know who wasn't bad this past week? Dallas defense.
Dallas defense was not bad.
Dallas defense, I mean, for the past couple of weeks, there's been questions, right? They had been playing, they'd been playing all right for parts of the game, giving up game-winning drives, giving up moments when it mattered. And it's obviously the Bills game. They just got dominated on the ground by one James Cook, who is a very good running back. But I felt like they kind of got back on track, right?
Starting with Miami. The Miami game, they played very, very well. The Dolphins only scored 1 touchdown against the Dallas defense.
Right.
And that game was in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had the final drive at the end of the game, but again, you can only hold a Dolphin offense with that much talent. You can only hold an offense of that caliber to down as long as you can only hold them down for a certain amount of time.
Right.
Eventually, it's going to catch up with you, and that's why Dallas needed to get in the end zone more.
Yep.
That's why they couldn't fumble the ball
on the
opening drive, and even the play before that. Tony Pollard, you got to trust your speed.
Yep.
You had a shot straight to the pylon.
Yeah, he did.
Just take the pitch. The play was well designed. Take the pitch, turn it on, get to the pylon. Now against Detroit, the defense played very, very well.
They did.
Now they had some times where they got gassed in the run game.
Yep.
But overall, they played very, very well against one of the top offenses in football that Detroit does have.
They do. And, I mean, I don't think people are giving that enough credit, really. I mean, obviously, what's his name? Ben Johnson, right? Their offensive coordinator.
Yes, sir.
Ben Johnson has done a magical turnaround of that offense. I think he's going to land a head coaching job somewhere soon. We're going to talk about that later. But that offense, it scored 40 points on at least one occasion, if not more. I mean, how many offenses are scoring 40 points next to the Dallas offense that has done it like 5 times this season? But, how many offenses are doing that? Not many. And we held them to 19.
Some people will say there was a questionable call at the end, which, yeah, it was, but I feel like, too, Dallas and Detroit both, there are so many things that you can point to.
Right.
Now, I got to be unbiased, too, because there were quite a few calls. Now, this is every game as well. There are quite a few times where Dallas could have been flagged for holding on Aiden Hutchinson.
Right.
But we know Micah, he's getting held religiously as well. There were quite a few calls where there were quite a few times where him and Marquise Bell got tackled on run plays where there was no flag thrown. So I feel like the officials as a whole, every team in the NFL, Detroit, Dallas, San Francisco, Philly, they all got reasons to complain about the officiating.
Right. Because
the officiating has been absolutely horrid across the board.
Definitely.
Now, I'm going to take it somewhere, and I got some questions, man. I might be wrong about this.
Okay.
And I don't know. I might have somebody showing up at my doorstep.
Oh, no.
My bad, babe. But I feel like some of these refs might be gambling on football.
And I we don't want to say it, right? Because I feel like that's such the, classic response of, oh, does this ref have a parlay going, right? But, let's be honest. Micah Parsons has not gotten called for holding in 56 quarters.
Neither is Aiden Hutchinson.
56. Do you know how ridiculous that is?
And Micah brought up something on his podcast. It's not just him. He talked about Aiden Hutchinson. He talked about Nick Bosa. He talked about Myles Garrett. He talked about all them guys. And that's the thing I love about Micah is going to keep it real. He's going to be unbiased himself. There is something weird going on with the officiating.
There is. And
if I'm wrong, then, hey, I will own that and I will eat crow. But I got questions, man.
No, for sure. And, so we filmed an episode that's not going to go out, right? where we were talking about how the game is legislating out the physicality, right? And they're legislating out these, these big hits and all these things that were legal and, maybe made the game a lot more fun to watch at some points. But, hey, we're trying to keep the guys safe, right? But you also have to see these holding calls, and are they always safe? Are you trying to keep the quarterback safe by, not calling these holdings that are keeping guys like Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt from hitting the quarterback, right?
Right. And then at the same time, the guys that are getting held, they too can get hurt.
Yes. You
hold a guy the wrong way, or you grab a guy the wrong way and you take him down, his foot gets caught in the grass. You can blow a knee out like that.
Right. Or even, you're holding them by the neck and just something weird happens, The spinal cord is a very, very delicate set of bones.
Yeah, if you're gonna look at injuries on one side with the quarterback, you got to look at the possible injuries that can happen to D linemen or linebackers that are getting held, that are getting taken down. So, and I know Trent Williams didn't do it on purpose. He was playing ball,
right?
But we saw what happened to Leighton Vander Esch against San Francisco,
right, and I don't think he's ever going to play football again. That's just my personal opinion. He's had way too many of those, neck injuries. I mean, this could kill him, and I almost don't want him to play again. And it's not because I don't want to see him on a football field. Of course, he plays well.
He's the quarterback of the defense.
Right. He leads that defense. He is part of the reason I think that our run defense has fallen, is because he's not on that field. There are other guys as well that have gotten hurt, but he was a backbone of everything that defense did. He's
the IQ. He's the brains.
Right. And of course I want to see him on the field again. But if his life is at risk, I don't think he should ever step on a football field again. Again, I love him. He's great. Don't do it. I just don't want to see him get hurt.
I'm with you.
Because he is a great guy, and you just don't want to see a good guy get hurt for life like that and, end up like, severely hurt. I mean, you see what Muhammad Ali, right? You see how he acts on a day-to-day basis now. He's got all that brain injury. You just don't want to see guys like that, because it's sad to see great athletes like that just go down like that.
Absolutely. And the way I see it, as somebody who played the linebacker position, your safety and your well-being and your time with your family should always come first.
Yes, sir.
And I'm 100% with you. I think Leighton Vander Esch should retire as well. I think he should call it quits. I think he would be a very good coach.
Yes, he would.
I absolutely believe he would be a very good coach. But for his safety and well-being,
right,
I think he needs to hang it up.
He does. Just hang up the cleats, man. I know you're not watching the show, but hang up the cleats, man. It's time. If you needed a push from some random dude you're seeing on Twitter or TikTok or wherever you're seeing this clip, do it. Seriously. Yeah, but kind of moving on to a different player in that defense that we've been talking about, Micah. Did he do enough for Defensive Player of the Year? Because he's some sports books have him at the top. Do you think he did enough?
Well, the thing about Micah is that, you account for what he's done off ball.
Right.
As an off ball linebacker, playing the run and blitzing up the middle and stuff like that. I think TJ Watt ran away with it.
Okay.
I think TJ Watt, and you look at the situation, because Dallas is a better team than Pittsburgh.
That is true.
I believe, too, Dallas has more talent defensively than Pittsburgh does. Pittsburgh is hurting too.
They are.
I know Dallas is without Trayvon Diggs. We don't know if it looks like Stephon Gilmore will play this weekend. We talked about him being without Leighton Vander Esch.
Right.
Pittsburgh is without Minkah Fitzpatrick on the back end. They got a few guys hurt over there as well. They have some serious liabilities offensively in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they do.
But you look at TJ Watt's impact at the outside linebacker position as a rusher, playing the run, dropping back in the pass. TJ, too, does it all. I think he wins Defensive Player of the Year. I think if Micah's not second, he'll be third behind Myles Garrett, because Myles Garrett is doing some damage up there in Cleveland, too.
Yeah, and personally, I have Myles Garrett winning the award. I mean, he has done so much. He per Pro Football Focus, he is having the best year of his career.
Mm-hmm.
He just is. And I mean, every grade is, except for I think run blocking, which Nick Bosa actually has the best grade, but he is winning all those stats. He just is. And those, as much as we want to say that, you know, the eye test doesn't lie, right? Stats don't lie. And to your credit, right? To your credit, TJ Watt does have 19 sacks. And I mean, who's out here making 19 sacks? I think the next one's like 17.
19 sacks playing in the AFC North. Toughest division in football.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, so is Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is up there doing his thing too.
Right.
But what TJ has done and getting Pittsburgh to the playoffs.
That is true.
You know, I got them losing this weekend, but who knows? I'm no expert. I could be wrong. Stranger things have happened.
It's the NFL.
And if there's any one of those guys that can take over a game, TJ can do it.
Mm-hmm.
He can take over a game from that defensive spot.
Yeah, he can.
And before you know it, they're pulling the rug from under Buffalo's feet this weekend. We're going to see, though.
It could happen. I don't think TJ Watt's going to play. Actually, I think he was ruled out.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I think TJ is out.
Oh, yeah, torn ACL.
Yeah, something like it's one of the CLs. One of the, it was a knee injury. I remember that.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that a little later. But I just, like you said, I don't think they have.
Yeah, he ain't gonna play.
Yeah,
my bad, y'all.
Yeah, I just, you know, I don't really think he's gonna do it. But I mean, this defense needs to just step up, right? Like, you know, you do have a potential, you know, defensive player of the year in Micah that, you know, obviously that defense revolves around right now. But, you know, like you said, we need to stop the run. We need to stop all of these things because, you know, a little scary thought, right? Dak has 38 total touchdowns. You know who's right behind him? Jordan Love. Jordan Love is right behind him with 36 total touchdowns. Just right behind him. I mean, I don't think people talk about that enough. I think people think this is going to be a blowover game. People are looking past it. Sure, they have probably one of the worst defenses in football right now.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, let's be honest. That offense is not bad. They've been scoring 30 points in some of these games. They've really turned it around from that 2-5 start that they had. I mean, you know, you want to talk about that gut check, you know? This, as embarrassing as a loss could be, could be a gut check.
And Green Bay can run the football, too.
They can. I mean, you know, they have Aaron Jones.
Yeah. Green Bay can run the football if need be.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dallas, well, for one, McCarthy, I know he's going to take this very, very seriously. Because we know he got ran out of Green Bay.
Right.
Some of it his fault, some of it was not.
Mm-hmm.
But I know he's taking the game seriously.
Yeah, he is.
And then you got the guys that are playing the game. They got to take the game seriously because, I mean, let's be honest. A lot of people are saying they're not going to get out of the divisional round.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to get to the divisional round, you got to win in the wild card.
Yes, you do.
So I believe they'll take the game seriously, but Green Bay as well. They're looking at this as we have already been counted out.
Yes.
Some people say we shouldn't have been here in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I believe I'm expecting somewhere around a score of about 31-24.
It could very much happen. It could very much happen, but you know, let's recap a little bit of Week 18, right? You know,
I'm going too fast. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. You know, there was a fallout. Everything's happening. I mean, it is war zone for some of these teams, but we've each picked a game of the week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Matthew, let's start with you. What was your game of the week this week?
Matthew Stafford going back to Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
LA Rams at Detroit Lions, Sunday Night Football.
Mm-hmm.
That's my game of the week. And Detroit, you look at the Detroit and the Rams game, and you look at the trade where Goff and Stafford were basically traded straight up for one another.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got some, I don't know the particulars. I wasn't in the LA Rams locker room. We only see what's on the outside, from the outside looking in.
Right.
But it's clear that some people thought they couldn't win with Goff. So they made the trade for Stafford, which in his first year there, they got it done. They won it all. But see, with Goff going to Detroit, Goff had a chance to mature. He had a chance to grow some. And he got into a situation where he was able to develop a chip on his shoulder. And Goff has become a better quarterback himself. So I think the trade was good for both parties.
For sure.
Because at the time, Detroit was not what Detroit is right now.
Right.
It was a totally different atmosphere. It was a totally different culture. And Stafford needed to get out of there if he wanted to win.
Right. For sure.
And now you got Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, and all those guys over there, Ben Johnson. They have completely revamped the culture. Detroit, we're looking at a league right now, Tyler, where it is truly wide open, minus a couple of teams.
Right.
But particularly in the NFC between Detroit, Dallas, San Francisco, and the Rams, you can see all of those teams winning it.
Right. I mean, because personally, not to get ahead of myself, but I have the Rams beating the Lions at Ford Field. I mean, and it's going to be sad. It's going to be sad for the city of Detroit, right? Because first playoff game ever at Ford Field. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, that's the most expensive ticket out there right now is Ford Field. I mean, this is a huge game. Like you said, it could be a game of the week. I mean, I'm personally actually going to be looking at the Browns and the Texans as the game of the week.
Love it.
But that is a huge game. I like that storyline. I think that's a great game to watch. It's going to be one to really watch. And like I said, I'm going to be watching the Browns and I'm going to be watching the Texans. Kind of looking back at last week, right? Houston beat them 23-19. I mean, and beat who really well could be the coach of the year in Shane Steichen, right? Who, turned around that team from a laugher to a 9-8 team. But they have CJ Stroud, who, in my opinion, is, almost completely responsible for the turnaround of that franchise right now. I mean, I gave him 75% of the credit. I think, you look at the games where he's out, right? You see that team fall apart. It does.
They don't look the same.
They don't look the same without him in the offense. And, obviously DeMeco Ryans comes in, right? He has changed the culture in that locker room. That you can't deny that. Their culture has changed. There is a difference in that team. They're playing with fire. They're playing with energy. And, I honestly think that all starts with that win last year when they played Indy and they beat them on that 2-point conversion at the very end of the game, and what's his face went out with a flame of glory.
Was that Lovie Smith?
Lovie Smith went out with a flame of glory. And, I actually liked Lovie Smith as a person. He's not a great coach, but a good person.
I think he was a good coach too. But the thing is, last year, and I said the same thing with Detroit, Houston last year is not the same as Houston this year.
That is true.
Particularly you had a couple of guys in the secondary that were pretty good, but I mean, they were riding the struggle bus last year.
They were, and you are right about that. And to some point, they do have Davis Mills running the offense. I mean, again, who is he? He's just got a long neck. Like, I mean,
man, you ain't gotta go in on his neck, man. That's cold blooded. Why you talking about the man neck?
Hey, at least he can see over the offensive line. Like,
yeah, he sure enough can see over the offensive line.
Unlike Bryce Young, he can actually see over the offensive line.
Oh, man, come on, man. Give Bryce some slack, man. He over there struggling in Charlotte.
I know. I feel bad for him because
I feel bad for him too.
You see him flashing as the number one pick.
Yeah, that organization. He played for a messed up organization, man. That ain't his fault, man.
I know. He's playing for the Walmart of the NFL right now.
Oh,
I mean that is the dollar store of the NFL.
Oh man,
like that is such a messed up franchise.
Oh man.
I mean I do not kind of segue into the next segment. We're talking about Black Monday, right? They've cleaned house. They have cleaned house in the in the Panthers organization, and they're talking to Will McClay. I do not want him to go to that organization. I just don't.
And Will McClay has had opportunity after opportunity to leave.
Right.
There's been many occasions where he has been offered a job. and he stayed here.
Mm-hmm.
Will McClay, we need you to keep the same energy. Please stay.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry, look, go into your 401k and pay him if you got to, man. Don't let him out of the door. Don't let Will McClay out of the door, sir. Don't let Dan Quinn out of the door either. Not yet. Because McCarthy, Quinn, and McClay, they're still building something. The culture change is not complete in Dallas. Right. It's still going on. Mm-hmm. It's still going on. Let these guys do their jobs. Keep them around so they can do their jobs. Mm-hmm. Pay him whatever you want to. Jerry, pay him whatever you want, man. If he want $500 million to be a GM, do it. It ain't like you ain't got it. We know you got it. Do it.
I mean, what you have all that money, man. Just shovel it in Will McClay's face. Drop off money tractors on his front porch. Like,
hire me to be his assistant. Give me $100K to be his assistant. I'll do it. Walmart runs, liquor store runs, whatever, man. Holla at your boy. I'm here,
man. I'll be his dog walker if you want it, man. Like, just keep this man here. But here's the thing. There's just a part of me that Jerry, the GM, won't fully give over that role. And Will McClay, there's just a small part of him that said, hey, he hasn't given me that GM title. I wonder if somebody else could. Not that anybody's going to go into Charlotte anytime soon, because I wouldn't touch that thing with a 10.5-foot pole. Mm-hmm. Because that is a fire of great proportions. Mm-hmm. But, maybe another organization like the Bears. The Bears are looking for a new GM. Washington's cleaning house, and they're doing a good job. They're contacting everybody.
Now, I do think Washington did hire a GM this morning. I believe so.
Did they?
I think. I feel like I got an alert on that when we were in a meeting.
Okay.
We were in our employee meeting. I didn't get the chance to open it up because we were in a meeting, but I feel like they hired a GM as well. So
it looks like they just only hired the former Warriors GM to assist in the search.
Okay. So they're still looking. Gotcha.
Yeah, they're still looking. So multiple people are joining that. I think a previous Vikings GM as well, or assistant GM, or somebody has also joined that.
There's a lot of hands in the pot over there in Washington,
and for the better. I personally think they are going to turn it around soon. They have somebody that is not incompetent leading that organization now. I'm right.
Hey, I ain't say nothing.
I'm right. I mean,
I ain't say nothing.
It's a laugher what has been happening in that organization. I mean, from the handling of RG3.
Oh Lord.
I mean, we don't even really want to talk about that.
They ruined RG3.
They did.
That was a shame.
Just to multiple other things, right? There's just a multitude of just mishaps that have happened in that organization. I mean, Washington Commanders. I'm sorry, just Washington Commanders. I don't think a single soul voted for Washington Commanders as the name. You couldn't convince me. You could show me the statistics and you wouldn't convince me that somebody voted for Washington Commanders to be the name of that football team. The Washington football team was a better name for that football team than Washington Commanders. I mean, that is that is cornier than corn on the cob. Like, that is ridiculous.
I mean, because with the Washington football team, you look at something where someone asks you, hey, who's your team? I'm a fan of the team. Uh-huh. I mean, that's pretty dope.
Right.
You can use that. I'm a fan of the football team. That's my squad. I mean, can't nobody else say that.
I'm a fan of the football team, by the way. Right. The Washington football team.
Yeah, you can use that. You can run with that.
Right. That's kind of fire. I think everybody was kind of coming onto that name.
It was growing on me. It had already grown on me. I was sold on it.
And then, and the uniforms are so basic too. I mean,
they should have stuck with their original look.
Right.
Their original look was a classic look. Mm-hmm. The uniforms they had before was not their original look, but it's been their long time look since the 70s.
Right.
That was a classic uniform. Mm-hmm. It was one of the better uniforms in football. You got some uniforms that you shouldn't change. coverage.
Right.
That was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as the Commanders go now, like moving forward,
right.
I think you have something. You could have something in Sam Howell,
yes,
but you got to protect him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he can't be getting hit every other play. He's not going to survive. He's you putting him in a situation where his career is in danger.
I know.
And you got good weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Terry McLaurin,
right.
Jahad Dotson, Curtis Samuel.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good trio of receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio Gibson toting the rock in the backfield. Brian Robinson, those guys together. That's a solid duo.
Right.
So do something to fix your offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Do something to see if you can put something around Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne in the defensive front seven, because I really like them.
Yes.
That's one of my, regardless of team, that's one of my favorite defensive tackle duos in the league.
They're phenomenal. I think for the fact that, you know, they had the worst defense in the NFL this year. I think for that, they have been one of the better defensive tackle duos.
Absolutely.
And it's just a shame, you know, what they've done to uproot that defense, especially at the trade deadline, when you get rid of guys like Sweat and Young.
Well, I think that was a sign too that they were blowing things up.
Yeah.
I believe that was a sign that they were starting to blow things up, and they said, "Hey, Montez, we're gonna send you somewhere where you can still produce. And at the end of that contract, you got somewhere you can pick and choose where you want to go, because I believe his contract is up."
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me. Chase Young, we're gonna put you in a situation where you're not gonna get worn down. You can go be a rotational piece, and you can win. You know, it's unfortunate that he went over there to San Francisco. I hate it.
I do too. That's such a weapon to get sent over to that team that has so many weapons. I mean, they have the U.S. military arsenal in that on that defensive line.
Pretty good.
I mean, they got everybody. They have everybody in the NFL on that defensive line. It's ridiculous. I mean,
they pretty much do. Randy Gregory over there too.
I know. I think people forget about that.
Yeah, he over there chilling. Rotational piece.
Randy Gregory is sitting, you know, chilling, making some money on that sideline right now.
Now he plays.
Yeah,
but he's rotational, and see, that's why I think I'm going too fast again. But that's why I think San Francisco is going to win the NFC, is because of the depth on the D line. You know, you have a rotation. You don't just have your top tier guys and a couple behind them. You got a rotation up and down that defensive line, and the best linebackers in the game are Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner.
I really cannot stand that they're on that team. I mean,
I don't like it either way. We are.
I like guys like Brock Purdy. I like Brock Purdy. I think he was a great story. I think he's been fun to watch. I can't stand that he's on the Niners.
Great guy too.
I was, especially last season, I was cheering for him in every game, but the Dallas game.
San Francisco has a lot of guys that I like on an individual level. I'm a huge Deebo Samuel fan.
I am too.
I am a huge Christian McCaffrey fan. Brandon Ayuk. I love all those guys. Trent Williams.
Yep.
George Kittle.
Yep.
Best tight end in the game.
Yeah, he is.
No disrespect to Kelsey.
Kelsey's just falling off a little bit.
Oh, I ain't gonna say he fell off.
Just a little bit. He's getting old. He's getting old.
You know?
I think there are certain times when, I just think he's gotten a little slower. I don't know if when you see a guy not start every single game in a season, I think that's just a sign that he's starting to decline.
You think there's some durability issues there?
I think there's a little bit some durability issues on him. I think he has a couple of years.
A couple of years.
I think 3 years from now, at flaming hot takes, right? Or they already knew.
Oh, this is very flaming.
They already knew. In 3 years, come back to this clip. If Kelsey is still making the numbers that he's doing now, whatever. Freezing cold takes can get this one. If in 3 years he's still doing that, okay. I just genuinely think that guy is starting to. you can't tell all the time, but I mean, he's not producing the same numbers that he has. Like, let's be completely honest here. I mean, he was by far the best tight end last year, I think. In my personal opinion, he was carrying that team on his back.
I had Kittle.
Kittle was very good.
I think Kittle been the best tight end the last 3 years, man. Kittle is a dog.
He is. You're right.
He different.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we had him. Again, I love you, Ferguson. But we talking about George Kittle, man.
Right. I would take George Kittle in a heartbeat. He would never come here because he cannot stand Dallas.
Right. He had the
he had that certain shirt.
Yeah,
he had that certain shirt. He had that certain shirt.
Yeah, he did. He ain't coming here.
Uh-huh.
We just talking.
Yeah.
Wishful thinking.
But, I mean, look, Kelsey last year, if you want to talk about a tight end that elevated his team, Travis Kelsey. Last year, they don't go to the Super Bowl without Travis Kelsey.
Yeah, he was the number one
Mahomes
receiver.
is great. Travis Kelsey elevated that team. Besides Travis Kelsey, and I don't even want to say this because it's hard to say this because I don't like him, but Juju Smith-Schuster was a key part of that team, whether you like it or not.
TikTok Juju
was a key part of that team. I can't stand him. Ever since he danced on the Cowboy Star, I've had a certain distaste for that man.
He danced on Cowboy Star?
Yes, he did.
He did?
Yeah, he did. When they were having that crazy run, that crazy 11-0, 12-0 run that the Steelers went on.
Oh, the 2020. Yeah. The pandemic year.
Mm-hmm. He went and danced on the Cowboy Star.
Look, let me say this. Juju did that because he knew he was going to get views. He knew.
Oh, yeah.
Look, it's been 3 years and we talking about it.
Yep.
He knew that was going to happen.
Yep.
The man's a marketing genius. I respect it. I like Juju.
Mm-hmm.
Good route runner. I mean, he went up to New England. He got paid. Now I do think that he made a difference in Kansas City.
He did, and you can almost see it now that he's not there. Rashee Rice is starting to come onto that team, and he's starting to make a difference. But especially at the start of the year, there was nobody leading that team, in terms of the receiving core.
Rashee, Texas high school football alumni, by the way.
Yes, he is, and SMU alum as well. I'm a UNT guy. I like UNT. I like Rashee Rice.
He's a Fort Worth native, my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Richland High. I didn't go there, but that's where he went.
Hey,
but I didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going though.
Hey, if we're shouting out high school, shout out to Allen High School. Shout out to Allen High School. Kyler Murray. I watched that man play in his 3.
We ain't talking about Kyler though. We talking about Rashee Rice.
Well, tough. I'm talking about Kyler right now.
How you gonna bring him up? We talking about Kansas City.
Kyler's gonna lead that team for the next 5 years. Don't at me.
What they got to do with Kansas City?
Nothing, but he is. I'm just telling you.
Man.
Hey, it's a red team.
You been drinking?
I've been drinking coffee.
What was Spike? What was the Spike with? Tell the truth. He was drinking good.
Listen.
Look how he giggling.
Listen, man. Listen.
Sound like a little schoolgirl. Look at him get red in the face and everything. Look at his nose. All of that. Just red. Yeah, he busted.
Listen. I've been riding the high of that 38-point win. Okay, I'm still feeling it. I mean, honestly, I'm still feeling the last time that we smoked the Commanders, and that was a good time.
It was a good time, huh?
It was a good time.
What did you do?
I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was a good time. You don't remember? It was a hell of a night, wasn't it?
Anyways, one more thing before we get into the natty, right? One more thing before we get in the natty. We got to talk about this. Mike Vrabel got fired today. And I think that may be, for the Titans, I think that may be one of the most incompetent decisions that they maybe have ever made besides the A.J. Brown trade.
Trading A.J. Brown without telling Mike Vrabel was very incompetent.
Mm-hmm.
Firing Mike Vrabel, even though I believe Tennessee is doing Vrabel a favor.
Yeah, they are.
Because he needed to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
They were not doing him any favors. But from the other side of it, that's dumb.
Mm-hmm.
It's dumb.
It is.
Now, who are you going to replace him with?
Yeah, who's out there right now? I mean, are you going to go get Ben Johnson?
Belichick.
Here's the thing. Belichick, yes, he would be fine, but we've seen how he is when he doesn't have talent around him, right? And if you can separate Belichick the GM from Belichick the coach, I think they would do very well. I think if you can keep Belichick the coach, but you don't have Belichick the GM, I think any team is going to do okay. I think that's just a fact. Belichick is a Hall of Fame coach. It is what it is. Whether or not you agree that, who won the Belichick Brady divorce, Belichick is a great coach. You just have to say it. He has had a crazy run.
And they needed each other. No one has ever won no one has won alone.
Right.
No, Joe Montana and Steve Young did not win alone. Terry Bradshaw, Troy Aikman, Roger Staubach, those guys did not win alone. Brady went into a good situation in Tampa Bay where he had Mike Evans and Godwin already there.
Yep.
You already had talent on the defense. So he needed them just as much as they needed him as well.
Right. And I mean, you also look at how that 2020 team, elevated when he lured Gronk out of retirement. I mean,
wow. Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Nobody was beating him. Nobody was beating him.
I mean, the Brady to Gronk connection is ridiculous. Let's be honest here. It's just it's a team. A team always is a team. It's not one person. A team is a collection of individuals who elevate each other. I mean, look at how this Eagle roster has changed and fallen off. The Eagle roster stayed mostly the same, right? But Shane Steichen leaves, right? And then, gosh, I don't even remember. The now Arizona coach, right?
Jonathan Gannon.
Thank you, Jonathan Gannon.
They missed some guys on defense, though, too.
They do.
Where I think Philly is really hurting. Javon Hargrave is over in San Francisco now.
Yep.
He went over there with that loaded team. They were already loaded. Come on, man. Now, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I really believe they miss C.J. Gardner-Johnson the safety spot, who is in Detroit now over there changing the culture.
Yeah, he is.
Philadelphia really misses that. Now, offensively, they're predictable on offense. They got away with it for so long because they are so talented. They also have one of the top offensive lines in football. But then you got a great receiving duo in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Those guys are great. You got Dallas Goedert at tight end.
Yes.
I think Jalen Hurts does have some talent. Regardless of what some people think of him, he does have some talent. But eventually, when you are predictable, it's going to show up.
Yep.
When the tape gets out and you don't adjust, Philly did not adjust once people caught on to what they were doing offensively.
Yep.
So I think we're going to see what they do in the offseason as far as what they do with the staff. Has Nick Sirianni lost the locker room?
And here's the thing, right? I think that team loves Nick Sirianni. I think Philly loves Nick Sirianni, but here's the thing. You have A.J. Brown, who I don't think likes Sirianni. A.J. Brown may be one of the bigger diva wide receivers in this league right now because he's making a big stink about how his team is playing right now. And you know what? That's fair because their team has been playing garbage, right? I mean, how you lose to Arizona, you lose to the Giants. And honestly, that Giants game was not competitive. At least the Arizona game was somewhat competitive, right? That Giants game wasn't even competitive. I mean, and, some people are going to say, well, the starters are out. Well, you guys were also talking about Jalen Hurts being your MVPs, and don't MVP quarterbacks elevate the play? At least that's what they said about Dak.
Whoa.
I'm just saying.
Whoa.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Let me say, that's what I'm saying, right?
That is what they said, though.
That's what they're saying about Dak, right? That's what they were saying about Now, Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback, but that's what they were saying about him last year when he was playing really well. They were saying, he needs to, he doesn't have the players around him. He's elevating the team. That's what they were saying about him, right? So all of a sudden, he doesn't have his players around him, and the team falls apart, right? But don't MVP quarterbacks elevate the play of people around them? And understandably, they had some garbage players on that team that day, and they did not play well. But
see, we got to be fair about something else because even Mahomes needs help. I mean, how many times have we seen Kadarius Toney go out there with the skillet hands? let a ball hit him right in the palms, or it bounce off his chest.
I mean,
and then you got a ball going the other direction into the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
Week 1 against Detroit.
Yep.
That played a big part in them losing that game. You know, so even Mahomes needs some help before Rashee Rice started to step up and separate himself from the other receivers in that KC offense. It's like we talked about, man, it takes a total team.
Mm-hmm.
It does take a total team. Everyone has to do their part. AJ is a competitor. AJ Brown is a competitor.
Yes, he is.
And I respect his talent, and I respect his will to win.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he wants to do. They were in the Super Bowl a year ago.
Right.
And now, you know, we're questioning, do they come out of Tampa with a win this week and this Monday?
No.
Oh, you saying Tampa?
I think Tampa is going to get a little hot. They're going to get like lukewarm. They're going to get like my like my college dorm room shower. It's going to get lukewarm. Not a lot of pressure, but it's going to get lukewarm. Listen, my college shower was really bad. But point being, stop looking at me like that.
Basically putting the University of North Texas in Denton out there that y'all need to improve y'all plumbing situation, because can't nobody get no hot shower up there in Denton.
Listen. And it was the new dorm, too. That was the
new dorm.
The new dorms.
UNT, what are you doing?
Listen, it was like I had a hose going down my head. It was not good.
My man can't get a hot shower?
It was not good. They will turn it up just enough, and Philly's cold water caboose is going to leave. Is going to be sitting at home watching the Cowboys in the NFC Championship. I mean,
oh,
what was that? Oh, that was such a resounding oh.
I'm just, hey, I ain't say nothing, man. Keep talking.
Listen.
Keep talking, man. I didn't say nothing. Keep talking.
And listen, my talk about Jalen Hurts as well is more of a commentary on the fans of Philly rather than what happened in that game. There was a lot of things that happened in that game. You can't help your receivers getting hurt. You can't help your talent getting hurt, because like you said, it's a team game. You have to, if your team's falling apart, your game will not go well. That's just how it is, right?
Takes everyone.
It takes everyone.
All 54.
It does. You're right. It takes all 54 players. So, kind of rolling that back to the Mike Vrabel firing, right? I mean, you can't just blame it on him, right? Because you only have one good receiver in that core. Let's be honest.
AJ, and the thing is, AJ didn't want to leave Tennessee.
Right.
He loved playing there. He loved playing for Vrabel.
Right.
He loved where he was. Vrabel loved him.
Mm-hmm.
Vrabel didn't know about it. He didn't even know the trade went down until after it happened.
That's insane.
They were on the phone finalizing it, and that's when he found out.
That's ridiculous.
Understatement.
Talk about, people talk about Carolina's, front office being awful. That's an awful front office. Yeah, there's a lot of things there's a lot of things that's going to happen, in this offseason, though. I think Philly's front office is about to explode as well, but that's a different thing.
You think the front office is going to explode?
Okay. At least some pieces of that staff are moving around. That's just that. I think that just is what it is. I don't think they're going to have an offensive coordinator by the end of this.
I definitely think Brian Johnson is gone.
Yes,
I definitely believe that. Philly fans have been lighting him up since earlier in the season, right, before the losing streak even started. Mm-hmm. The Eagle fans were lighting him up pretty good.
Right.
So yeah, I could see him going.
Yeah, I do think that team was playing well in spite of him. But
that's because they had the talent. Like Philly really does have the talent on the offense. So yeah, I believe that as well.
So moving into next week, right?
Okay.
I've challenged everybody here, including the people behind the camera as well. We're making some picks. ESPN has come out with their bracket challenge, and you can pick a bracket all the way up to the Super Bowl. And we're challenging everybody on this crew today to pick their brackets, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. But you know what, Matthew, I want to start with you, right? At the very least, let's talk about your wild card weekend. What's happening this weekend?
I got Cleveland over Houston.
Okay.
In the AFC. We're starting with the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
Got Cleveland over Houston.
Okay.
I got Miami over Kansas City. I got Buffalo over Pittsburgh.
Okay.
NFC.
Yes.
I got Philly over Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Give me Detroit over the Rams.
All right.
Give me Dallas over Green Bay.
I agree with most of that. Not gonna lie, I do agree with most of that. I would like to know from you, how do the Lions win? What's a score? What do you think? What do you think is gonna happen in that game?
Detroit is going to run the football.
Okay.
That's what they're going to do. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yep.
They're going to do their thing, and then they're going to eat on the play action. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Josh Reynolds. Now, where this could play a factor in Detroit losing, because they could lose, that Rams defensive front, they still have Aaron Donald over there.
Yeah, they do.
Very disruptive. He's still very, very good. He could cause some issues. Offensively, Rams offensively could give Detroit defense some issues.
Yeah, they can.
Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua.
What a duo that nobody thought was going to happen.
And they can run the football. And Stafford can sling it with the best of them. So it would not be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if LA won, but give me Detroit 27-20.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. We get some fun games this weekend.
Oh yeah, very fun. A lot of homecomings.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, and it's of course Deshaun Watson isn't playing, but you got Cleveland going into Houston.
Yep. And that's going to mean a lot of things to a lot of fans and a lot of people on that team. Do you think Deshaun shows up?
Yep.
You think he's going to be there?
Yep.
You think they're going to show him?
Yep.
And do you know how loud those boos are going to be?
Houston fans going to let him have it.
Yeah, they will.
Houston fans are crazy. Oh yeah, they do a lot of talking. They are loud. They are boisterous.
Yes, they are. A little annoying.
I ain't going to say it.
Okay, the Astros fans. The Astros fans specifically.
They got some characters in that Houston fan base, man. So, oh yeah, they're gonna let him have it pretty good.
They will.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I think he'll be there.
Okay, I'm curious. I am really curious. I think he will be there, maybe in a box or something like that. Yeah. But maybe in a bad box, but. But he'll be in a box somewhere.
He got the money to pay for it. Remember, he get $230 guaranteed.
Too much?
Oh man!
All right, let me tell you how I think this thing shakes out. I as much as I kind of don't want to admit it because I like the Texans run, I do think the Browns win that one. I had the Chiefs over the Dolphins. Here's the thing about this Dolphins team: this Dolphins team does not shine in the brightest of lights. That's just how it is. Look at almost every game they've had, the big games, right? Get blown out by Baltimore. Get honestly trucked twice by Buffalo, right? And a Buffalo team in a year where they've had a lot of ups and downs, right? They've had some very bad games. I mean, they lost to Denver? What? And Denver's not that bad, but still,
same Denver team that got 70 hung on them by Miami.
Right. Yet they've dominated the Dolphins both of the times. The Chiefs who honestly, probably your reason for picking the Dolphins over them, who aren't that great this year. They're definitely having a bit of the Super Bowl hangover. I definitely think so.
I think the lack of talent at the receiver position too. I really believe that's hurting them. Now the thing about Kansas City can still run the football.
Yes, they can.
Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you still got those guys that can do their thing in the run game. Now, there's something that you left out as to why Miami could lose. Miami does not play well on the road.
That is true. They were almost undefeated at home, right? And yet almost all of those losses came from the road teams. When they went on the road, they played awful at Baltimore. I mean, just terrible. I mean, they
got run out of there.
Yeah, they got run out of there. And actually, I do want to bring up the Tennessee loss as well, because that was the one time I felt like they kind of got run out of their own stadium.
Yeah, that was at home.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, that was on Monday Night Football too.
Yes.
They got run out of their own stadium on Monday Night Football. I mean, and you know how that team is. That team is the one that can surprise you. Let's be real. They can surprise you. They can make good teams hurt. Right. I mean, they single-handedly took out the Jags out of the playoffs. Well, the Jags did it to themselves, really. But, they took the Jags out of the playoffs. That Jags team is a mess.
Oh, man.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence is the guy, but I think he's a great backup.
I think they have a coaching issue.
There's that too. There is that too. I think I've also seen enough of Lawrence in the NFL.
He just got here
in a starting position. It's
just his third year, bro.
I know. But have you watched some of these games?
Yeah, I watched them, but see, that's why I said I think some of that is coaching.
Yeah, you do have a point there.
And he delivered a greatly thrown ball to Calvin Ridley that could have tied the game up in Tennessee the other day.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this too: Jacksonville also has issues up front.
They do. You're right.
The offensive line is a little questionable, but I think a lot of that is coaching that's going on down there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I do agree with you. I do agree. There's a lot of other things. It's not just Trevor Lawrence. Like, let's be completely real.
Right.
It's not just Trevor Lawrence. And one of the things with the NFL that I've always thought is that all of these guys are stars, right? All of these guys get paid the big bucks.
Mm-hmm.
There's only a slight margin of difference between, honestly, the best quarterback and the worst of the starting quarterbacks, right? There's only a slight margin, but that margin is enough to make those teams that much better and to make those quarterbacks that are slightly worse just that much worse.
Well, it just depends, too. I don't think it's the slight margin because, I still think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football.
I would agree with you.
Who's the 32nd?
Oh, there could be a lot of people at that 30-second mark in some way, shape, or form during this season, right? And it's not Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson is very middle of the road, right?
The Jets are a joke of an organization.
They are.
Well.
They are. Honestly, Zach Wilson isn't great, right? Like, let's be honest. Zach Wilson is not the number 2 pick. Let's be honest. But he's not bad. He's not as bad as that team makes him look.
Nah, and the Jets don't have an offensive line either.
They don't. You're right.
I mean, they got some. I love their defensive front.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Quinnen Williams fan.
Right. Yeah, he's
love
great.
him. But on the offensive side of the ball, they have some questions up front when it comes to pass protection, which is it's sad because they run the ball very, very well with Breece Hall.
Mm-hmm.
I do like him. So, and you got Garrett Wilson up there, wide receiver. So they have some guys at the skill positions they're more than serviceable. They're very, very solid. I think Garrett Wilson is a lot better than what we see out of him.
Right.
But we don't know because the offense is so bad.
It is. You're right.
I think Garrett Wilson could potentially he could potentially already be a top 10 guy at the receiver spot if he isn't already.
Right.
But you got to be able to give him the ball. And I know we say Zach isn't that bad, but every time you look up, he's sprinting out of the pocket out of necessity.
Right.
No protection up front. So,
yeah,
man, I think it's too fast to go to sleep on Trevor Lawrence.
And I'm not completely putting him to bed, but I think he's had 3 years now to kind of take form, and people were saying that he was going to be great right out the gate. That's the thing. And he has definitely not lived up to that great out the gate expectation that people had. I mean, people were saying like, this guy's Patrick Mahomes. This is the next guy. That's what everybody was saying about him out of the draft. But
he was a surefire.
Right. And he has all these weapons around him too. Like,
he's got some guys that can catch the ball.
And I don't know if he's lived up to that expectation yet. And like you said, there's coaching issues. There's all sorts of issues in this organization that are honestly kind of a joke. But still, I'm not sold. Let's put it that way. I'm not sold.
That's fair.
Now coming back to the picks.
I'm gonna remember that.
Mm-hmm. coming back to the picks, right? I do have the Chiefs winning. Let's be honest, the Chiefs defense is really good as well. Like the Chiefs defense can lock people down, lock teams down.
Chris Jones.
Chris Jones is a force.
Can take over a game.
Mm-hmm. I have the Bills beating the Steelers. I think everybody thinks that. I mean,
yeah.
The Steelers probably have one of the worst offenses in the NFL right now. That just is what it is.
And with or without TJ Watt, I know we talked about that earlier. With or without him, Buffalo will still beat them. Buffalo still should beat them.
Right. I also do know that with TJ Watt and without TJ Watt is a big difference on that team.
It is.
Without TJ Watt, that team is 1-11 since he's joined the organization. They are 1-11.
I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm. They're 1-11, and I wrote this down as well. They are 1-11 or no 1-10. Sorry, they're 1-10, and they're allowing 26.3 points a game when he's not in that offense, as opposed to 19.8 when he is. That is how big of a difference that man makes on that defense.
Let me give you some love from doing some homework on that, because I didn't know that. I didn't go that in depth with it.
I knew that was a stat. I didn't know. I knew that. I remember them talking about that last year, and I had to do the homework to see what the actual record was. But they are 1-10 without that man in the lineup. But anyways, kind of moving into the rest of these picks, right? I have Bucks over Eagles. I just, like I told you, I don't think Eagles are going to get run out of there, but I just think maybe like a 30-24, right? 30-24 game. I have the Rams beating the Lions.
I like it.
There's always one upset, right? There's always one upset that comes out of this weekend, and I think the Rams are going to be that team. I mean, you had the Jags and Chargers, which everybody thought the Chargers were going to maybe run away with that game, especially after the
27-0.
Yeah, 27-0 lead. And I don't did they score after that?
No.
Yeah, every one of those every one of these recent playoff pictures have had one of those teams, right?
Right.
I say the Rams are that team, and I have the Cowboys winning as well. Now, kind of going on to the people in the back, we've asked them to make brackets as well, and we'll maybe talk in future episodes about how these brackets keep shaping out, right? Mm-hmm. Just to kind of give you our overviews, right? I have the Niners beating the Rams. I have the Cowboys beating the Bucks in the second round, and then I have the Cowboys beating the Niners. I just something about it tells me they're not gonna beat them 4 times. I don't know. And I have the Ravens beating the Browns. I have the Bills beating the Chiefs, and I have a Ravens-Bills AFC Championship. I have Ravens beating the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Now, okay, just a little overview. What do you say?
Divisional round. I have Baltimore defeating Miami.
Okay.
I have Cleveland defeating Buffalo.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I got an all AFC North AFC Championship game.
I like it.
I got San Fran over Philly in the divisional.
That's fair.
Lions fans want this matchup. Dallas and Detroit in the divisional.
Mm-hmm.
Lions fans want that.
I want it too.
I do too. Give me Dallas over Detroit.
I think that wasn't a fluke.
Nah, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
NFC Championship game. San Francisco over Dallas.
Now, fair.
I get what you're saying. You don't think San Francisco gonna get them again? Dallas has to prove it.
I agree.
That's where I am. I want Dallas to go out there and prove it, because right now, I believe San Francisco is in their heads.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I don't know what it's going to take for them. Maybe they need to go see a shrink or something. All of them, whether it be McCarthy, Quinn, because Quinn's defense got embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
All of them, the players, they need to go see a shrink or something. Go talk to a counselor or something. The Niners are in their heads.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, they are battling psychological warfare when it comes to the 49ers. So, until further notice, I got San Francisco defeating Dallas in the NFC Championship game. I got Baltimore beating Cleveland.
No, I think that's fair.
Yes, sir. Super Bowl, Baltimore over San Fran.
Mm-hmm.
I think Baltimore gets it done.
Again.
Yes, sir. I think I do believe this game will be much closer than it was recently.
I agree.
But I like Baltimore in this
one. Yeah. I think the Ravens are winning the Super Bowl regardless. They are just the best team in the NFL. That is what it is.
Absolutely.
Now, let's move off camera. There are people behind the camera that make this show go. And I want to give them a chance to speak their mind. So we're going to start with Jake Dexter here, who is going to give his picks for the bracket.
So I got a couple for you guys. Okay,
right.
So a couple things. I'm not going to go through the whole bracket. Okay, we're just going to say that when it gets down to it, we're going to see the Browns and we're going to see the Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
My man.
I like it.
Let me tell you why. Okay,
Why? Come on.
I got three names for you.
Okay.
Joe Flacco.
All right.
Dustin Hopkins and Riley Patterson. Let me tell you why.
Did you just look up those names?
I did not memorize right here in the big old noggin, okay?
Okay.
Because the key to winning football is you got to kick the ball. You get that's the key to every championship, every Super Bowl, all 56 Super Bowls. It's been a field goal in some way, form, or fashion. And they got Dustin Hopkins. Okay, he's a little injured right now. He'll be back. And they got the little backup, Riley Patterson. You got Joe, you got Dustin, you got Riley. That's why they're going to win. Browns, I hate to say it, Dallas. Browns going to take it home. Browns going to take it home.
Why?
I just told you all three reasons right there. That's that. You got number one, the GOAT. Okay, Mr. Joe. Well, he's kind of 2024 is GOAT. Okay, Dustin Hopkins, Riley Patterson. All right, Trev. Let's hear what you got over here.
All right, come on, Trevor. You're talking all that talk over there. You're showing. I watched. Listen. I watched you just put up that TikTok by Juju.
I'm pulling everything back there right now.
That was rude and ridiculous. Now tell me your picks, please.
And so my bracket, I've kind of got an upset bracket actually.
Okay.
A lot of upsets. I feel like so. Browns beating Texans. I do believe Chiefs will beat Dolphins. Dolphins have been doing a really good run this season, but I think it's just going to be one of those upset rounds where it's probably a close game, but Chiefs will ultimately come out on top as they usually do.
Yeah.
Bills definitely beating Steelers. That just kind of feels like a given at this point. NFC wild cards. Eagles beating Buccaneers. That one I'm a little iffy about. Rams beating Lions for sure. I'm kind of rooting for Matthew Stafford just because Highland Park alone. We make a bunch of Highland Park stuff.
Game on.
And then the real kicker, I have Packers beating Cowboys in the wild card.
You're saying the Cowboys get embarrassed?
I feel like it's going to be like the first round they come in and just fumble everything and just I feel like Packers are just going to walk away with it for some reason.
You think that's the big upset?
At least here, at least. Outside of that, I'm kind of with you. Ravens taking everything all the way. I have Ravens in the Super Bowl, beating the Browns in a divisional and beating the Chiefs in the conference. And then other side, NFC, I have 49ers going pretty far, but I feel like Eagles, I feel like we will have a Kelsey in the Super Bowl still. So I'm going Ravens and Eagles Super Bowl. That's my prediction.
Ooh.
That's actually kind of that's an interesting pick.
Yeah, I told you it's
spicy. A real bold.
I got some upsets. It's getting spicy in here.
Yeah, that's hot.
That's a bold pick. And I think the Eagles would get embarrassed if they went into the Super Bowl with Baltimore. I'm gonna be real honest with you. I think they run him out there. I think that looks like a TCU and Georgia national championship.
Ooh.
I mean, I think they get embarrassed.
Ooh. I mean,
do you not agree with me?
I think Baltimore is definitely 3 touchdowns better. If we see Baltimore Philly, I do have Baltimore beating them by at least 21
and beat the brakes off.
But man, you talking? I mean, this is real deal diabolical hate that you have in your heart, and I understand it because I'm a Cowboy fan myself. But TCU Georgia. That's diabolical.
Look, I'm just dropping some disrespect, right? I mean, It'll probably be more like this Michigan game last night. That's gonna be the real thing.
That's realistic.
I think it's
can
probably
see it like
I think
that.
it would probably be more like the Michigan game last night, which we don't have time to talk about. But if we did have a little time to talk about it, I thought I would just say that Penix was not as good as he should have been, and neither was McCarthy.
Well, let me say this: a lot of what happened with Michael Penix, sometimes it's not what you didn't do.
Right.
A lot of that has to do with what the other team was doing.
That's right.
Michigan is better. Don't get me wrong. Penix is good. I feel the same way about McCarthy. But Michigan is better where it counts, and I'm talking in the trenches.
That's right.
In the trenches, up front, both sides of the football. That's where the games are won.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the championships are won.
Right.
Being, like we talked about, being able to stop the run, being able to run the ball, pass protection, getting after the quarterback. Michigan dominated on both sides of the football, and that's why they're national champs, and they should be.
You're right. I mean, 300 plus yards on the run is no joke. I mean, that, like you said, that defensive line destroyed them. They really did.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was really fitting that the game kind of ended on, what was really a defensive effort, got them down to the 1 yard line. I mean, and they rushed another touchdown in as well. But that's kind of how the game really got out of hand. So I thought that was really fitting. Just a little bit of natty talk for you. We don't have a lot of time here, but we just want to thank you so much for watching this show. I mean, we're trying to get this thing off the ground. So we thank you for watching this show. It's been fun.
This is very fun.
It's been very fun.
Myself.
And so we're gonna be testing out some more hosts. So you're gonna see a couple of people coming through here, and we may even have you vote for your favorites. So look out for that. But Matthew, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Hey, thank you for having me.
You're a pleasure to talk to.
You as well. I enjoyed myself. I really genuinely enjoyed myself.
I did too.
This was a lot of fun. I got to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for allowing us to be us.
Yes.
We were able to be ourselves, and we thank y'all for
we do.
giving us this platform. Trevor, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Trevor.
Mike, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jake. You are one of one. Maybe not a great sports mind, but you're one of one. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. This has been a Game On Sports Network production. Thanks for watching. Tune in soon. We're going to start doing 2 episodes a week, so watch out for that. But tune in soon. Enjoy the wild card weekend, and we'll see you next week. See you guys later.